Let's discuss the theoretical applications of hyaluronic acid dermal filler. When you have a patient come in and say, I feel like I've aged a lot in the face, my cheeks are drooping, I have these dark circles around my eyes, I have these frown lines that always make me look upset even though I'm not, and I just don't feel like I look like my age. We all really want to help this patient out. And the first thing I recommend you do is number one, assess to make sure that they're actually a candidate for dermal filler. Now, some of the things you want to look at is quality of the skin. Make sure that it's not crepey. Make sure that it's firm enough to be able to expand well with filler use. If not, you might want to work on that skin quality first. Or if it's really advanced, then the appropriate thing would be to send them to a plastic surgery colleague for plastic surgery evaluation. But if they are a candidate for filler, you want to be able to structure their program so that you're building on what you do. You want to create a foundation of dermal filler so that you use less with each step. So let's go through it. The first thing you want to do as you assess your patient is make sure that you rebuild the foundational aspects of what they're missing. So generally, we always start with looking at the mid-face and the jawline. Generally, these are the patients that have lost and start to kind of have that sagging in that mid-cheek area. So you start with filler in the cheeks. This will allow for lifting of that lower half of the face. By doing this first, what you're doing is needing to decrease the amount of filler that you will need to use later on when you're assessing the nasolabial folds and the marionette lines. After injecting the cheeks, the zygomatic area here, you want to take a look at the jawline, okay? Generally, you'll have patients who will have jowling here, right? Those are the sagging skin that we have here. Now, a note, no amount of filler will ever remove jowls, okay? Filler will only camouflage it if you do it correctly. Rule number one, never inject into the jowl. You will only make it worse. You only inject around it. You want to be able to create a line of contouring into the jaw to take where that sagging skin is and allow the illusion of this wonderful, wonderful line, okay? As you recreate the jawline, you also want to make sure that the chin matches this new jawline that you've created. So injecting the chin to create an appropriate protrusion is also important, right? Remember your golden ratio rules and make sure that you evaluate your patient, 180 degrees to see them in profile and also forward facing to make sure that everything makes sense. Okay, so once you've done the cheeks and you've recreated the jawline and the chin, at this point it's reasonable really to wait 4 weeks, let the filler settle, see how the patient likes the treatment. Maybe at this point the nasolabial folds, the marionette lines have improved to their satisfaction. If not, you can bring them back and we can get to step number two. Or if they're like, look, I'm gung-ho, I want to get as much done as possible at this visit, then you can do it at this visit, step number two. The reason I say to kind of give it a 4-week pause is because remember, hyaluronic acid dermal filler is hydrophilic, meaning it loves water. So the initial reaction of the face when you inject is to swell, okay? So that initial swelling is not the final result. So if a patient sees, they're like, oh, I love it, they have to understand that swelling is going to go down. So giving it that 4-week break, especially when you're creating that structural foundation, is a great way for someone who's had sort of that advanced aging to give them that space to just sit with it. But again, a conversation for you to have with your patient. So after you've done the cheeks and the jawline, the recommendation is for you now to sort of evaluate the fine-tuning contours of the nasolabial fold and those marionette lines, okay? These things will cause shadowing on the face, and shadowing around the face is sometimes what will increase that aging appearance as we go about town. So a quick thing about nasolabial folds. They are our smile lines. We all have them. Babies have them. They are normal, okay? It's been a recent fad to get rid of them, and it's created this pillow face appearance when you over-inject the area. So it's an important conversation to have with your patient about how much of it you really need to reduce. Now, obviously, if it's a very deep fold and it's visible to the eye that it is a result of aging, yes, you can inject it to protrude it forwards a little bit to decrease that appearance. But remember, to have the fold is normal, and if you completely get rid of it, if you take a look at the patient at 180 degrees across, right, they're going to look funny. Okay, so just be mindful of that. The marionette lines, again, once you inject them as well, you have to do it after you've obviously done the chin, the jawline, okay? It's just little tweaks. And because you've already put more filler in here and around the jaw, you will need much less in these areas over here, okay? So you are saving your patients from having to use less filler. So now we've done step number 1. We've done step number 2. We have protruded the chin. We have improved the jawline. We've done the cheeks, right? We've got beautiful cheek contouring here. We've fixed the issues that they've had in their marionette lines and their nasolabial folds. Now we have to take a look at the lips. Why do we have to take a look at the lips? Well, we've adjusted the chin. So because we've adjusted the chin, it's going to change kind of this ratio that we have between the nose, the chin, and the lips. And it's important that we achieve the right angle between these 3 things. If the chin protrudes too much as compared to the lips to the nose, that ratio throws people's proportion off, and in a profile view, it is less ideal. So what you can add to sort of this facial balancing plan is some lip filler. Now, this doesn't mean you need to over plump and overdo it. No, you can still keep a patient's natural contouring of their lips if they want to maintain it. Sometimes this will also help improve hydration in the lips with aging you actually lose. But what this allows you to do is plump it just enough so that it makes sense in profile, okay? And it'll allow for the final result to all sort of come together nicely and more naturally, okay? This way the patient will not look like they've actually had work done, right? And that's our goal is to make sure that when they walk out of your office, it's like nothing happened, okay? It's just between the two of you. You know, you came in and you walked out, you look great, and no one can really tell why. That's kind of the goal. All right. Lastly, to finish off this package, you can do skin boosters. These skin boosters will allow for hydration and giving that added glow to the skin. Okay, the patient who came in with that sagging, aging, less than ideal skin will need that glow up, and that's what these boosters can do. This plan can be done in one sitting, depending on how aggressive you want to be with your treatment, or it can be done in upwards of 4 stages, which is also very reasonable and can sometimes be a little bit easier on the pocket on the patient. But this package together allows for an optimal plan to improve your patient's overall results. And doing it in a stepwise process allows you to appropriately assess what your patient needs when. If you jump around and you do lips first, you'll realize, oh, I need to do the chin. And then you do the chin, and then you do the cheeks, and then things just get thrown off and you're using more filler than you need. And then you get these patients who look like they've been overfilled or their proportions are off, and you can obviously tell that something happened. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So this is why taking things in a stepwise fashion, taking your time, explaining to the patient why it needs to be done in this way is really important. The final product would be something that you both can be proud of. I hope this video helped you out. Like, share, and subscribe. And please let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to be covered in this chapter.